Welcome back. Today we learn through a story. Listen carefully and stay with the message. Many people like to talk. They talk about their plans. They talk about their dreams. They say what they will do. They say who they will become. At first, this feels good. It feels exciting. It feels powerful. But something strange happens. After talking, they stop working. The energy is gone. The focus is gone. This is where the problem begins. Sharing plans feels like progress, but it is not real progress. Real progress is quiet. Let us understand this with a simple story. There was a young man. He had a clear goal. He wanted to change his life. He wanted to grow. At the beginning, he was full of energy. Every idea felt strong. Every plan felt possible. So he talked. He told his friends. He told his family. He explained everything. His goals, his plans, his future. People listened. Some people smiled. Some people nodded. Some people doubted him. Some people laughed quietly. After every conversation, he felt something strange. He felt tired, not in the body, but in the mind. He felt satisfied, even though he did nothing. This is dangerous. When you talk about your plan, your brain feels rewarded. It feels like success, but success did not happen yet. This reward is false. The brain relaxes. The urgency disappears. The work slows down. This is why silence matters. Silence protects energy. When you stay quiet, your mind stays hungry. It wants action. It wants movement. But when you speak too early, the hunger is gone. Silence keeps you focused. No explanations, no opinions, no doubts from others. Only you and the work. This is how strong people grow. They do not announce. They do not explain. They work quietly. This does not mean fear. This does not mean weakness. It means discipline. Discipline is silent. People who talk a lot often seek approval. They want someone to say, yes, you can do it. But approval is a trap. It makes you depend on others' words. Silence removes this need. In silence, you learn to trust yourself. You stop performing. You start building. Building is slow. Building is boring sometimes. There are no claps, no praise, only effort. This is where most people quit, because silence feels empty. But silence is full. It is full of focus. It is full of clarity. When you stop sharing, you start seeing clearly. You see what matters. You see what does not. Your time becomes valuable. You stop explaining. You start doing. Think about this. When a seed is planted, it stays underground. It does not tell anyone. It does not make noise. It grows in silence. If you dig it out every day to show others, it will die. Plans are the same. They need silence. They need time. They need protection. Words expose plans too early. Exposure brings pressure. Pressure breaks focus. Focus needs quiet. This is why successful people speak less. They let results speak. Results are loud. Plans are fragile. Silence keeps plans safe. Now think about your life. How many plans did you share? How many goals did you explain? How many times did you talk instead of act? This is not blame. This is awareness. From today, try something different. Work quietly. Do not announce. Do not seek praise. Let your actions be your language. Silence will feel uncomfortable. At first, that is normal. Growth always feels uncomfortable before it feels natural. In silence, you will hear your thoughts. You will hear doubt. You will hear fear, but you will also hear truth. Truth builds strength. This is the first lesson. Never share your plan too early. Build in silence, because silence is only the beginning. After some time, The young man began to notice a pattern in his life. Every time he shared a plan, his motivation became weaker. At first, he did not understand why this was happening. He thought talking was helping him. He thought explaining his goals made them more real. But the opposite was happening. The more he talked, the less he acted. There is a psychological reason for this. When you talk about your plans, your brain feels rewarded. It releases a small feeling of success. This feeling is similar to achievement, but it comes too early. The mind becomes relaxed before the work is done. Because of this, the urgency to act disappears. The brain believes something important already happened, even when nothing has changed in real life. This is why many people start strong but stop quickly. They announce goals before building habits. They speak about change before becoming consistent. Words replace action. Talking becomes a substitute for effort. Slowly, the plan loses energy, and the dream becomes just another idea that never moved forward. The young man also noticed another problem. When he shared his plans, people reacted differently. Some were supportive, but others were doubtful. Some asked questions that created fear. Some shared their own failures. These reactions planted doubt in his mind. Even strong plans can become weak when exposed to too many opinions too early. Silence protects belief. When a plan stays inside, it remains pure. It is not shaped by fear or outside judgment. In silence, a person can move at their own pace. There is no pressure to explain progress. There is no need to prove anything. The work becomes personal, focused, and honest. Building in silence also teaches patience. Without applause, a person learns to rely on discipline instead of motivation. Discipline grows slowly, but it lasts longer. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline stays. Silence creates space for discipline to grow. The young man decided to change his approach. He stopped talking about his goals. He stopped explaining his plans. He focused on small actions every day. No one noticed his effort. No one praised him. But something inside him became stronger. His focus improved. His confidence became quiet but deep. He realized an important truth. Real growth does not need an audience. Real change does not need approval. The strongest progress often happens when no one is watching. Silence was not empty anymore. It became a place of strength. This lesson was difficult, but powerful. Silence was no longer a weakness. It became a strategy. And this strategy prepared him for the next challenge, where words would matter less and actions would matter more. As days passed, the young man noticed another change inside himself. Without speaking about his goals, his mind felt quieter. There were fewer thoughts competing for attention. He woke up with a clearer sense of direction. Instead of thinking about what to say to others, he thought about what to do next. His energy was no longer divided, it was focused. He also realized how much time he had wasted before. Long conversations had taken hours. Explaining plans had taken emotional effort. Answering questions had created stress. Now that he stopped sharing, that time returned to him. He used it to work, to learn, and to improve small skills every day. Progress became slow but steady. People around him began to change their behavior. Some stopped asking questions, some lost interest. Others forgot about his earlier words. At first, this felt strange, but later, it felt freeing. There was no pressure to impress, no need to show results early. He was finally working for himself, not for reactions. Working in silence also showed him something difficult. Without outside encouragement, doubts became louder. There were days when he felt unsure, days when nothing seemed to move forward. But instead of escaping through talking, he stayed with the discomfort. He learned to sit with uncertainty. This built emotional strength. He started to understand that silence does not remove fear, it reveals it. When there is no noise, fear becomes visible, but fear also becomes manageable. He learned that fear does not disappear through words, it disappears through repeated action. Small actions, done daily, slowly replace doubt. Another thing became clear. When no one knows your plan, failure feels lighter. There is no shame, no explanation, no embarrassment. You can adjust quietly. You can change direction without announcing it. This flexibility made growth easier. Mistakes became part of learning, not public events. The young man noticed that his discipline improved. He no longer waited to feel inspired. He followed a simple routine. Some days were productive, some were not. But he returned the next day. Silence supported consistency. There was no drama, no urgency to prove progress, just calm repetition. Over time, something deeper changed. His confidence no longer depended on praise. It came from evidence, from showing up, from keeping promises to himself. This confidence was not loud. It was stable. It did not need to be seen. He moved differently now, slower, more intentional, less reactive. Silence had shaped his thinking. He spoke less, but his actions carried more weight. The absence of noise allowed clarity to grow. Without realizing it, he was no longer building a plan. He was building himself. With time, the young man noticed how silence changed his discipline. Before, he waited for motivation. He waited to feel ready. Now he moved even when he did not feel inspired. Silence removed excuses. There was no one to impress, so there was no reason to delay. Work became a daily habit, not an emotional decision. He learned to respect routine. Small actions were repeated again and again. Some days felt boring, some days felt slow. But he continued. Without noise, progress felt quiet but real. He stopped chasing big moments and focused on small steps. These steps slowly created structure in his life. Silence also reduced comparison. When he shared plans before, he compared himself to others, their speed, their results, their opinions. Now those comparisons disappeared. He moved at his own pace. He measured progress by effort, not by attention. This made growth healthier and more sustainable. There was also less emotional pressure. When people know your goals, every delay feels like failure. Every change feels like weakness. In silence, he was free to adjust. He could slow down. He could rethink. There was no need to explain. This freedom made him more honest with himself. Over time, discipline stopped feeling heavy. It became normal, just like brushing teeth, just like showing up. Silence supported this shift. Without constant talking, the mind stayed clear. Decisions became simpler. Actions became easier to repeat. He noticed that silence improved his focus. There were fewer distractions, fewer conversations, fewer opinions to process. His attention stayed on the present task. This made learning faster and mistakes clearer. He corrected himself quietly and moved on. Confidence continued to grow, but it stayed calm. It was not based on words or promises. It was built on repetition, on effort, on consistency. This confidence did not need approval. It did not seek validation. It simply existed. Silence did not make life perfect. There were still hard days, still moments of doubt, but discipline kept him moving forward, not quickly, but steadily. And steady movement changed everything. As the young man continued to live this way, something important became clear. Silence had not only changed his actions, it had changed how others saw him. People noticed his calm. They noticed his consistency. They did not hear promises, but they saw results. This created respect, not because he asked for it, but because it appeared naturally. He no longer felt the need to explain himself. His life felt lighter without constant words. Decisions became simple. He knew what mattered and what did not. Silence helped him remove unnecessary things. He spent less time reacting and more time choosing carefully. This control gave him peace. Mistakes still happened. Some days did not go as planned, but silence allowed space to learn instead of panic. There was no audience to disappoint, no image to protect. He could look honestly at what went wrong and fix it quietly. This made improvement faster and more real. Over time, people who once doubted him began to ask different questions. Not about his plans, but about his process. Not about his future, but about his habits. He answered simply. He did not speak too much. He understood that words are most powerful when they are few. Silence also changed his relationship with success. Success no longer felt like a moment. It felt like a direction, a way of living. He was not chasing an endpoint. He was building a system that supported growth every day. This removed pressure and replaced it with stability. He learned that silence is not hiding, it is protecting. It protects focus, it protects belief, it protects energy. When something is valuable, it is kept safe. His goals were valuable, so he kept them quiet until they became real. The world is full of noise, opinions, advice, distractions. Silence became his filter. He listened more. He spoke less. He moved with intention. This made his progress strong and difficult to break. In the end, the lesson was simple. You do not need to tell people who you are becoming. You show it through actions. You do not need to announce change. You live it. Silence does not delay success. It prepares it.